Hey, it's Prepper Action, and I wanted to do a little short video on how to make a really dynamic type thumbnail. I know when you upload to YouTube, and this is mostly for YouTube creators, they'll pick an image for you, and usually it's not very good. What you want, if you want to put titles or a description in your thumbnail, is to do it yourself. Just make a custom one, and that's what this is going to cover. So the first thing to do is just get a couple photographs. Take some photos against a white or light colored background so you have some contrast. And most photo editing programs have a selection tool that you can use to select pixels around the outskirts of the image. And I usually start at the bottom and then work this tool up the side. Don't worry about the shadows. You can add a shadow if you want by using the selection that you are creating right here, but you don't have to be very precise. Just get the basic outline. I mean, you're not going for a competition in art skills here. You're just going to outline this figure and then pull him out of that picture and onto a transparent background, so you can start your layering. And this image is only 2 layers and then a 3rd layer of text, so it's really quite basic. But once you get down to the point where you've got this image selected, the next best thing to do is save that image and just rename it, because oftentimes I have hit the wrong button or slipped on the keyboard and my selection that I've just meticulously selected disappears, and then you have to redo that process. And selecting an image like this, there's different ways you can do it. You can do it through channels, or you can do it with a simple tool where you just kind of plug along the sides of the edges of the image, and then pretty soon you have a selection. And that's what I did here. It takes like maybe 5 minutes. This whole entire thumbnail took about 20 minutes to do, but I figure if you spend 2 to 3 hours filming some footage and then another 2 to 3 hours editing it, you might as well take some time to make a really good thumbnail. And it's really going to benefit you in the end, because it'll stand out against other video images in YouTube. So here, basically, you're going to resize this image onto the new selection, and you want to keep in mind proportions. So you just kind of eyeball it. It doesn't have to be perfect, as long as it looks like what you just selected out and it fits the size of the new image here, which is a 1280 by 720 pixel image that I'm going to drop in. Then I'm going to reorder the hierarchy and place the background image in the background. Now I got to do some tweaking with the brightness and contrast, just to make it so he appears to be in front of that image and not just pasted on there. So you got to kind of work with it a little bit. So I'm going to lighten the background, increase the contrast. Next thing I want to do is desaturate it, because I'm going for this look with some of my post-apocalyptic films now, where it's really muted, desaturated, washed out colors. So that's what I'm doing here. Once I get the background about where I want it, I can continue to the foreground figure, and we're going to adjust that brightness and contrast. I use the slide bars. I'm not a big keyboard shortcut guy. I kind of just use my mouse a lot to go through these. I mean, the keyboard shortcuts are right there, but I never use them, hardly ever. So I'm desaturating this image and take the hue down so it's kind of matching the background, but I want him a little bit darker than the background, so I want a little bit of a contrast between the foreground image and the background image. And you can keep tweaking this, foreground and background image till you think you got it right. It's not an exact science. You just kind of eyeball it. You'll know what's looking, better than the image before or the last thing you did. It's all a learning curve, you know. Life's not a destination, it's a journey, I always say. So here I'm going to duplicate these layers, and I'll make 3 duplicates, because the effect I'm going to do here is a motion blur. And this might be in other editing programs for photos where you can blur the image and make it look like it's got motion behind it. And this is the basic technique I'm using for this one. And you can get really fancy with the blur. I mean, you can have it trail off like a tail and make it look really, you know, nice. But I'm only making this thumbnail for kind of a tutorial for, you know, YouTube creators if they want to do something different for their thumbnails. You can spend a lot of time kind of tweaking things and getting it just perfect, but you don't really need to. As long as you got a good image look at the end, then that's all you really need. And this just adds kind of a dynamic motion to this thumbnail. You got the blurry image of him like jumping into action, and here I'm just blurring some of the leading edges on different sides of the character so he doesn't look so cardboard cut out, and in the end you'll see it blends fairly well. You want to keep all your layers like this in an image file if you stop and go back to this, but it should only take you about 20 minutes to make one of these kind of thumbnails. It's really easy to do. And you just keep tweaking and adjusting. You can always hit the edit button and go back if you mess something up. And you can turn off layers so that you can see where your blurred image is going to be, and then you can place the forefront image over that. Once you've got this blurred image down, then you can place the foreground image in there and then kind of adjust where he's going to be. It's kind of like hanging a picture in your living room. You kind of think, where should that go? Oh, that looks like a good spot right there. Again, go back and adjust brightness and contrast as you plug along here. Once you got it to your liking, then one of the next steps is to flatten the image. And once you flatten the image, you can go over and redo some of the brightness and contrast or desaturate, which I'm going to do here. I'm going to adjust the hue, maybe not that colorful. I'm going to desaturate this image so I get that kind of look that I'm looking for my thumbnail, so it matches the video I've done for the Journey series. It has that desaturated, washed out look, kind of the post-apocalyptic look where it's not really bright and sunny and cheerful. It's just kind of, you gotta survive. Then you add a little bit of text, and another thing I do is almost the same thing you did with the figure in the foreground. Duplicate that layer, duplicate it, and then go to your effects, do a motion blur, and that'll give it a little bit of a little pop to the the action thumbnail. I always do a drop shadow on most things there. It just silhouettes the contrast a bit against what your background is. And that's basically it. I recorded this with a program I downloaded. It's called Ice Cream Screen Grabber or Screen Recorder, and it works pretty well. I liked it. For free, I mean, how can you go wrong? So I'm going to add a link in this video to where you can get this Ice Cream Screen Recorder if you want to do these type of videos where you just do a capture video. It does, I believe it does audio too, if you have an audio mic. I do my audio separate, but it converts them to a file that doesn't accept in my video editing program. So I use another program called ACV, and this will basically take any kind of video format and turn it into MP4. The Prepper Action website has a number of prepping and survival items offered through my Amazon store. Items ranging from gas masks to Geiger counters, knives to night vision. Also books and DVDs. Most items are eligible for Amazon Prime, so you can order from my Prepper Action Amazon links, and if you have an Amazon Prime account, you can take advantage of the free 2-day shipping. Just click on any item to go right to checkout at the Amazon Secure site. Some items on my website have a link above that will take you to a Prepper Action YouTube product review, so you can watch the review before you place an order at my Amazon store. So just click the link in the video description to go to the Prepper Action website. So thanks for watching. Prepper Action out, and as always, be safe out there.